Good morning, Kids Church. How has your week been? We're going to continue looking through the book of Genesis today. And today starts the beginning of a kind of mini-series in the book as we keep following what happens to Abraham's family and keep seeing how God is keeping his promise to reverse the curse. But instead of looking at lots of people, this part of the Bible focuses in on one particular man and what happens to him, and his name is Joseph. He is one of Abraham's grandsons, one of Jacob's sons. It's a story of jealousy and plotting and scheming, of being wrongly accused and imprisoned, of being a slave and a servant, and then a high official. And through it all, God wants us to see that he is in control. Listen to what Joseph says at the end of the story. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. God wants us to see that despite sinful people, he will keep his promises. He will do what he has planned. God wants us to know that even when things seem out of control, he never stops being king. He is always in control. Nothing takes God by surprise. All right, let's go. As we begin, we meet Joseph. You might remember that Joseph is the second youngest son of Jacob, who God called Israel. And he's one of only two sons that he had with his favorite wife, Rachel. Joseph has 11 brothers and one sister. That's a lot of brothers. Let's hear about how they get on. Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending his flocks with his brothers, the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and he brought their father a bad report about them. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons, because he had been born to him in his old age, and he made a beautiful robe for him. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word to him. Not a great start, hey? Joseph is obviously the favorite and his brothers are very jealous. Next, Joseph has some dreams. Listen. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose up and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it." His brothers said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. Then he had another dream, and he told his brothers. "Listen," he said, "I had another dream, and this time the sun and the moon and the 11 stars were bowing down to me." When he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, "What is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you?" His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. One day Jacob, that is Israel, sent Joseph to see how his brothers were doing as they were looking after the sheep. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them near Dothan. But they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. "Here comes that dreamer," they said to each other. "Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these wells, and then we'll say that a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams." When Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. "Let's not take his life," he said. "Don't shed any blood. Throw him into this well here in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him." Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the beautiful robe he was wearing, and they took him and threw him into the well. The well was empty. There was no water in it. As they sat down to eat their meal, they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were loaded with spices, balm, and myrrh, and they were on their way to take them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood." His brothers agreed. So when the Midianite merchants came by, his brothers pulled Joseph up out of the well and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites, who took him to Egypt. When Reuben returned to the cistern and saw that Joseph was not there, he tore his clothes. He went back to his brothers and said, "The boy isn't there. Where can I turn now?" Then they got Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in the blood. They took the ornate robe back to their father and said, "We found this. Examine it to see whether it is your son's robe." He recognized it and said, "It is my son's robe. Some ferocious animal has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and mourned for his son for many days. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "No," he said, "I will continue to mourn until I join my son in the grave." So his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. So, in a matter of days, Joseph has gone from being the favourite, treasured son to being thrown into a well by his brothers and then being sold as a slave. Things aren't looking good. But have you seen already that God is in control? That his brothers didn't kill him as they planned, because God has a bigger and better plan, and God is in control. We'll see in the weeks to come that God has put Joseph exactly where he wants him to be. We'll see that Joseph's brothers intended to harm him, but God intended to use Joseph to save lives, the lives of God's people. Well, this is very much a to-be-continued story, so make sure you tune in next week to find out what happens next. But for today, do you know that God is still in control every bit as much as he was in Joseph's time? And he is in control of our lives and at work in us. In Romans chapter 8, it says this: "We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." That's us. When we trust in Jesus, when we are God's friends, we can know that God is at work in us. God is at work in all things, the good, the bad, and the ugly, for our good. That is, to make us more like Jesus and to bring him the glory. When we are sad, God is in control. When we are happy, God is in control. When we hurt, God is in control. When we win, God is in control. When we lose, God is in control. When things are awesome, God is in control. And when things are a disaster, God is in control. How good is it to know that God is always the King, that God is always in control. And when we are his children, he is always at work in us for our good, to make us more like Jesus. Nothing takes God by surprise. Let's pray. Dear God, we thank you that you are the King and you are always in control. Thank you that nothing takes you by surprise. Thank you that when we are your children, you are always at work in us for our good. We thank you for the story of Joseph that shows us and will continue to show us that you are in control when things seem out of control. Please help us to learn from this and to trust in you. Amen. Well, thanks for listening, Kids Church. I hope that you have an excellent week. If you're able to, you could go and find the song by Colin that's called Nothing Takes God by Surprise. I'm going to try and get it put on here, but if I don't, maybe you could go find it and sing or dance along. All right, see you again later. Bye.